Finishing my Snickers there. All right, we going now? All right. This is Something Got a Podcast. We're a bit late starting today, but it's not a big deal. We had some technical difficulties. We're still in the early stages of, we keep changing studios and just working this setup out up here right now. And it looks like I'm broadcasting from like a Sith studio or something. The red light in the background. It's a good little feature bar. Something just to mix it up, chop it up, change it up, visual for you. All right, I'll be honest. I'm not that good this week. There's something going around town. There's like a flu or something that got me. I'm not gonna say, everyone's like, is it Corona? This is the bullshit thing. I think Corona is just the flu. It's just like rebranded, you know what I mean? Before all that bullshit years ago. Now, it's so crazy, it is 5 years ago now, ain't it? Yeah, that's full on, bro. 4 or 5 years? The whole problem back then was no one was taking the flu shot, and they wanted to find some method of like people taking up the shot again. Maybe not the flu shot, but just a shot in general. Pardon me. And so I think they just rebranded the flu like that year and just switched it over, because I've had Corona before. It does feel similar, you know what I mean? But I think everyone's immune systems would drop low during the time. No one really mixed around, so no one got like the new version of the flu. So they went without a flu for ages, and then we got hit with the flu. It was bang. It felt so bad because you've just been like lying on the couch streaming Netflix for like fucking 2 years, not being around anyone besides your inner circle, and then, I don't know, maybe you went down to Woolworths and some scumbag with like stage 3 influenza just coughs around you and you end up copping it. It's just a bad version of flu. So I had the flu for the past week. It's not Corona. So I'm just a bit, the energy levels are a bit down. So you're going to have to forgive us this week, but it's not a big deal. I'm still going to rant and talk some shit. Pretty much, but we were going to stream clips, but we're working out the technical difficulties with that. So you're just going to have to hang in next week. My boy Chris, he's a wizard on the comp. This guy, I love this dude, manages to make the clips. He's sitting right here, so it's a bit, you know what I mean? It's getting a bit familiar in here. It's getting a bit hot. But he's just mad at editing and dropping the clips in and then throwing in some audio, or even just dropping the links in for you to follow. So if there's no clips in the actual video, there's links that you can just jump into in the timeline. Should be timestamps. You can check out what we're talking about. It's going to be nothing like too important. Obviously, this is just like a casual conversation between me, you, and the crew. And that's pretty much like what the whole purpose of this is. We're not trying to like take the place of news. We're just trying to have like an open conversation about everything. So just grow with us. Let's grow together. We'll be all right. But for now, technical difficulties. Yeah, so the flu, it's been sucking dick the past week. It's just, I was around this person at work and they were coughing nonstop. And I don't know if you ever have this like serendipitous moment where you realize like you can kind of predict the future almost. This guy was coughing around me and I'm like, this motherfucker is going to get me sick. I didn't move away. I just scolded V, so I'm burping like a bad dude. Apologies. Or if anyone, maybe there's like ASMR, you know what I mean? Burp fucking therapy. But I knew this guy was going to get me sick, and he ended up getting me sick, and so I'm just a bit dead this week. But we've got to still bring something to the table. Every week we're trying to do this, so follow us on YouTube, Spotify, all the socials, SCAP_Oz, SCAP Oz on Instagram. So yeah, jump in, follow with us. You know what I mean? Come on, let's go for a walk. Pretty much so, because I was like sick, I managed just to lie around and like I was vegging on the couch. And I know recently I've been going through a period with streaming services. I don't know if like we're too spoiled for choice these days, but it's like I can never find anything good to watch. And like I do get recommendations from people which is good in a way. It just depends on if they share similar tastes to you. I've gotten some bad tips on Netflix, you know what I mean? People saying something's great and it's absolutely horrible. So I've kind of been switching away from curating my own television experience to going back to like old school styles. I'm a 90s kid, so we kind of got used to just like crawling in front of the TV and just sitting there like the cable guy and just taking whatever they're throwing at us. But you had your choices, you know what I mean? You knew what was on. You had TV Guide, or you know what I mean? The newspaper told you what was on for that week. You know, usually Simpsons and all those classic hits. But I'm getting sick of like picking shit on Netflix because it's pretty thin when it comes to like quality there. So I end up like sticking there and hate watching the news. I do have to do something. I want to watch the project or even clips of the project with you guys, so we can like just get a feel for the trash that's like getting broadcasted in regards to, because that's similar. They kind of took what a podcast is and said, oh, we'll splash some no-name celebrities on there and some like bottom of the barrel stand-ups, you know what I mean? Some comedians, and it's about as like genuine and authentic as Chinese food in Australia, I guess you could compare it to, you know what I mean? Which if you are from that region, you know that the food here isn't exactly authentic. So it's, man, the week conversation. I tried to watch it. I got like 2 minutes in and I had to tap out because it's just like all liberal pandering and just nonsense. One of the things that like got me going was the whole controversy around it's the Princess of Wales. Obviously, like I said, I'm 90s babes. The Princess of Wales. That was always Diana, wasn't it? Princess Diana, Princess of Wales. I forget. It's the son, Diana's son's Mrs. What's her name? Kate? I wrote it down. Katherine. Goddamn. Like it matters. I don't even know why to reserve a section in my brain for that information. Like the fact that, so this is on the news. Before I just start going off, a photo that she uploaded to Instagram or something was altered slightly. I don't know what this is, what they're trying to like accomplish with this story, whether it's like desensitizing people to what a deep fake is, or maybe it's like, it's kind of like with the UFO thing, where if like they keep banging on about it and it seems like bullshit, because in the early days everyone kind of blew off the UFO thing. Now I know this is two ends of the spectrum. No leaning back. Chris's notes: don't lean back. Stay on the mic. Stay on the mic. Yeah, the leeway. Oh, I swear, I got about half a meter here. The two different spectrums of the I don't know, conversation graph, you could say, but the whole thing is, it's what the mass public, and it's not like I'm someone special, I'm part of the mass public too, but it's whether or not that opinion can kind of stick, or it can alter, whether their opinion of whatever the topic is sticks with you and kind of molds then your perspective and your opinion on the matter, which it's very hard for me to kind of fall into that. It's always been, I'm one of those annoying kids. I was one of those annoying kids. I'm now one of those annoying adults, but I was one of those annoying kids who always asks why. Like, I like to keep getting down to the bottom of the question until you find like the true answer. But then you kind of never settle on it, because there's nothing that's like 100%. Like, even the whole thing with science, this is what I hate when people are like, I don't believe in God, I believe in science. The thing about science is it's always changing. They say that with like a level of, I'd say almost arrogance mixed with certainty, that what they're kind of putting their dollars on is like 100% correct. Like it's infallible. Just like people used to get angry because the church used to consider themselves like always right, and you know, their word is law, like it's according to God. Where it's kind of the science has become, as an institution, has become like almost the new church. It's the atheist church, is the scientific institution. But so what happens, I believe, is they've done like experiments on how to help manipulate opinion and kind of shaping people's views. And so it's like a process of like, we'll dig into this later on. I got to put a little note down to get into this further. But it is a base level version of mind control, because it goes back to the propaganda days, the basic version of it. So this is probably easy to talk about. But like the base level propaganda, I believe it was Goebbels was the head of marketing, the head of like chief of propaganda, or like, you know what I mean, the kind of advertising guy for the Nazi party and Hitler. Like I said, I'm not feeling the best, so the brain access isn't working on fire, but I think it's like a lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth, or some shit like that. It's pretty much, it's about repetition. If you keep saying something to people, they're gonna eventually believe it. I better look the quote up, because it's gonna irk me until then. But pretty much, they use, and this is, if you want to delve into it yourself, this is like Project Mockingbird, CIA, NSA, I wouldn't say Asia. I don't even know. This is the bad thing about information, is like I can get more information about American stuff than I can about like Australian stuff. I don't know what the Australian version of the CIA would be, which I'm pretty sure we don't have a version. We've just got the CIA like stationed in Australia. So like Project Mockingbird, it's pretty much a lie. It's just using the media to help shape your views. So that's like, obviously if they shape your views, they shape your perception of society. This is what, like with all these stories that we're copying at the moment, is kind of like helping people do. It's shaping their views on certain issues. So like I mentioned before, with the UFO story, for years and years, everyone's been writing off the UFOs. Like if anyone says that they've seen a UFO, or anyone believes in UFO, oh, you're a nut, you're pretty crazy. And only until, and coincidentally during Corona, like one of the most difficult times for information to like kind of rise to the surface in the sea of like mass propaganda that Corona was. Sorry, I'm getting that quote up, but I can't even find it. This isn't going to be another. They're saying it says tell a lie often enough and it becomes the truth. So like during Corona, when the UFO kind of the release of all the information kind of started coming forward, it was washed out with all the Corona stuff, but then they kind of changed the language around it and then changed the way that they approached it in the media. And I believe it was a way of like almost desensitizing people to the issue, because the fact that for decades they've been denying the existence of like UFOs and like unknown, I was about to look, they kind of got my brain with it. I was going to say unknown phenomena, because they've changed it from UFO to unidentified, what is it? Something aerial phenomena, unidentified aerial phenomena. So it's UAP instead of UFO. So it's just like, they changed the language around it, and then they kind of changed the way that they talk about it to be like, oh yeah, no, you know, so they don't look bad. They don't have to come out and say, okay, UFOs are real. They say like UAPs are real now. So now it kind of changes the conversation, and people who, they're not, their ears aren't pricked up because no one's saying UFO now. It's all like UAP. So long tangent to where I was going with this shit. This Princess Katherine released a photo on Instagram with a fucking family. It's just like a mum with her kids. I don't know what the big deal was. I was waiting for them to say it's like her head was photoshopped on like the nanny or something to make it look like she was at home at the time, or you know what I mean, is present. But when it went out on the news, so there'll be a clip. I'll timestamp it and I'll drop a clip in. But the edit was like on the sleeves and like some areas around the body, like it was like, you know what I mean? Her arm, her shoulder, it was ridiculous. So people who see that and be like, what, this is photo altering, considering we're in 2024, and I'm pretty sure like 60% of girls, 70% of girls use filters in their photos, like easily. It's very few that I've seen that kind of just put authentic, unaltered, unedited photos online to broadcast to people. So for people to like get angry that this chick's sleeves have been like manipulated, who gives a fuck? I don't even know why this is on the news right now. And this is one of the points that kind of irks me, and like why I was kind of set off, you know what I mean? I was kind of activated with it. Is like when there's this kind of whitewash of bullshit, when you're watching the news where you're like, for a minute you kind of like, you invested into it because as humans we kind of like give everything a chance. We want to estimate the face value of a topic or a subject or a person or something. So you do allow like 30 seconds to kind of wash over you. And then after that, okay, so it only lasted probably about 15 seconds until I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are they showing this? There's like multiple wars around the world with like crazier shit happening. I'm still pissed off the Black Book, Epstein's Black Book hasn't been released yet. And the fact we're talking about Princess Katherine's fucking Cosby sweater sleeves on the news, primetime, is like outrageous. As people, this is like, I don't know, how far do we allow the bar to fall before we're like, I guess you can't really do much when it comes to an institution like the news, and it's kind of my fault for sitting there and kind of absorbing the curated propaganda that they're broadcasting to me. But for me, it kind of activates me in a way where like, no, there's got to be something bigger happening right now. So it'll give me a chance to like dig around online. And obviously there's some like headline stories that they can't avoid. Like there's a war in Haiti breaking out with the leader's name is Barbecue. Like, I don't know why. That's something that's intrigued me. It can't be a good reason. This guy can't just cook good ribs. You know what I mean? I'm guessing it's a kind of malevolent reason why his name is Barbecue. It's got to do something with setting people on fire or some shit like that. But they don't show enough of that. They keep saying gangs are taking over whenever there's like political destabilization in countries, they'll refer to them either as like freedom fighters or terrorists or something like that. But they're choosing to go straight with gang activity there. But he doesn't seem, I haven't heard enough to be able to make a clear assessment. So to say he doesn't seem like too out of control, that's a big jump for the probably 10 minutes or half an hour worth of like footage I've seen of the conflict there at the moment. But I do know that it was kind of a hot spot for things like corruption and like misplacement of funds after the natural disaster that occurred in Haiti. I know Hillary Clinton had the Clinton Foundation. They garnered like a bunch of donations, and they were supposed to be appropriated to the people of Haiti, and a lot of the money just went missing. And there was aid there, so they were sending like pallets of like water and food, and like people didn't have, I'm pretty sure they didn't have access to like good drinking water or anything like that at the time. And these pallets were just sitting there like nothing was being done with it. And I don't know, millions of dollars, that gets you a lot of pallets. And from what I've seen, there was only like a couple, I'd say near 100, but I didn't get to see everything. I just watched like different footage of the situation there at the time. And I think that was going back almost near the same time as Corona, just to ring the same bell. I've got to have like a little bell, and every time I say Corona, I've got to ring the bell. Maybe we'll just like Pavlov people. That's another one, where like referring back to the whole propaganda stage. Like the Corona thing now, it's like I almost feel bad bringing it up on a forum like this, because it's like, man, people are so sick of hearing about Corona. I'm kind of sick of hearing about Corona as well, but I'm sick of hearing their side of the story. Like their constant whining and kind of like pleading ignorance on the majority of the population for not like immediately jumping on board with all the approaches that they took at handling the situation. I've got to do a whole sequence of linguistic gymnastics just to kind of avoid algorithmic destruction when it comes to talking about this stuff, because they pick it up. A couple of the videos we put up already have the little notice automatically attached to it, so the algorithm's still running strong on the C word, so just like Corona, ding. But that's like, everyone got so inundated with just the pestering levels of information that, and I was doing air quotes there in case like someone's watching and the phone's in their pocket, because not everyone's going to watch visually. So information, air quotes, if you get me. That everyone, after like 3 years of just constantly banging the drum, everyone's just gotten over it. And I think it's more now, okay, it was their time to talk about all the shit then, when it's our time to talk about all that shit now for us, because as people, we didn't really get our say. People were banned, people were blackballed, people were removed from platforms for talking certain ways about this. So when it comes to these conversations, I think we've got to kind of be reinvigorated with the topic. We can't grow tired now, because this is like really, I think, the start of the fight. Before, we couldn't do much about it. Everyone's voices were drowned out. Everyone's like, oh, are you a scientist? I didn't think you have to be a scientist to use common sense when like everything seemed really rushed. Pretty much Corona was like a first date with catastrophe, and everyone got fucked straight away. So he's all fucked on the first day when it came to like the catastrophic, our first global community catastrophic event. Everyone dropped the ball. I thought everyone was going to go schizo and kind of stand up for something, but we kind of buckled, man. And it's like, I'm not going to act like I was some brave ass rebel. Like I attended community discussions about it. But I was swiftly dealt with in certain situations. I think one of the first ones, because later on I end up pulling away and being like, man, not everyone's on board for kind of like questioning too hard, or the thing was, there was still a presence. Like everyone still made their presence felt, but I think there was a lack of like synchronization. Like the unity was lacking. The unity in community. We needed more communication. We needed more unity. That makes the community. And I think we need to be a better community for the next round, which I do believe isn't far off. Now, this is a little hot tip. I'm going to give it my little poker toe. You know, I'm not doing the best when I say too much. And I just picked up how much I'm saying And it's goddamn right. Drink break. So, yeah. So, like, getting whitewashed with misinformation, that's all that, like, mainstream TV seems to be. They still catch some, like, cool shit in between. There's some good movies. But yeah, just like the redundant information we're receiving, just to kind of snowball into another topic is like the war in Ukraine. This is like people are becoming desensitized. I think we've been through so many like micro conflicts. Everyone's desensitized to these kind of things when they're popping off. So like it's no joke what's going on there. And we're in a situation. Pause it for a minute. On the for the Insta. That's sweet. All right, that's cool. There's a little behind the scenes for you there, guys. It's 5 minutes left on the Insta because apparently you can only record for half an hour. So that's all right. It's a good cue. At least we know how long we've been running for. Half an hour, sweet. And we haven't even touched on the clips. So it's kind of another topicless rant today, unfortunately for you all. But I'll try and grab some clips. We'll drop it in there if you want to watch on YouTube. Maybe it'd be cool. Maybe there'll be some audio with the, I don't know, do you really want to listen to some audio about Princess Catherine's sleeves? I think I covered that well enough. We don't need to drop a Sky News or a Forbes news clip in for that. If you're here now, you just wait until later on. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be effects. There's going to be more lights at the background. Yeah, the clips. We're getting the clips sorted out. But yeah, we don't need to drop clips in for that. War in Ukraine. Type it in on YouTube for fuck's sake. Like the one-sided perspective on that. The fact that we'll allies with these guys for I don't know, at least 18 years. You know what I mean? The whole conflict in the Middle East. They jumped on board when it came to Iraq and Afghanistan and everything like that. I know, okay, forget the history part of it. I know the history of Afghanistan and everything like that with the Russian army, the Cold War and all that shit. We'll delve into that later on. But when it comes to everyone like putting their hand up to being the coalition of the willing, it was called back then. But the people who threw their hand up to say, okay, I'll go to Iraq with you, America, after 9/11 and everything, even though they were Saudi terrorists and somehow they end up in Iraq and Afghanistan. Afghanistan more understandable, depending on the view you take. But definitely Iraq was like a fucking curveball out of that one. But the whole fact that they're perceived as like an enemy now, I wouldn't be surprised if like Russia and China just team up and they just fucking WWE tag team World War III the rest of the world, because like the history, I know like communist Russia wasn't the coolest place on fucking earth, like is the biggest understatement ever. It was like atrocious. But the kind of short deal that they copped after World War II, they kind of won World War II. So if anything, we got to give them props for that. Everyone gives America props for that. That was a lot of the Russian work. Russia put in that wet work during World War II. And when it came to dividing Europe afterwards, they really got fucked over, like bad deal style times a million. And so they had a reason to be dirty at the world, and then the world had a reason to be paranoid about them. But then like later on, you know what I mean, after the Cold War bullshit, or the hype, all that propaganda, they were more than willing to come and work with Western nations to kind of establish peace across regions. And so maybe they weren't part of, I've got to double check that, but maybe they weren't part of the initial coalition of the willing, but they ended up stationing troops in Iraq and everything, alongside American troops to help kind of topple what was going on there. And so like America embraced them as like brothers during that time. Obviously you'd have to, they're brothers in arms, if anything. But then now like they're again, public enemy number one. And if you know much about like the Democrat Party and like the circle jerk that was like Obama, Biden, Hillary Clinton, all those little like warhawk, neocon motherfuckers, they do act like, they do say they're democratic, but they definitely don't behave in like the old school kind of version of what that's supposed to be. They're very warhawk. Like warhawk is an understatement. These guys were like, they're fucking warlords, because they did, before even the conflicts occurred, they called out their hit list of like 7 Middle Eastern nations they want to topple. And I think, even though I know Russia's not part of the Middle Eastern nations, but I think they were on the hit list as well. And so they've just been drooling at and chomping at the bit to get into a conflict with Russia. So any excuse, 2014 it was Crimea, and that was like more a problem with, oh, you want to just keep running with this cam. That's the incident in the background, guys. So they with Crimea and the annexation, there was like big problems there. And then I think what led to this really was was NATO wanting to station troops and facilities there. Not just that, this isn't conspiracy. The NIH did have bioweapons labs there, which I think if not NATO pissing off Russia, it definitely would have been having bioweapons facilities funded by people who call themselves your enemy now. I've got to stop doing that on the cam. So bunnies. Too many air quotes. The bioweapons would have definitely given Vladimir Putin like motivation to kind of act almost not even offensively, but definitely defensively, because he's not a silly guy. Everyone acts like he's Russia's worst dictator. I don't get enough news out of Russia. I used to watch RT back in the day. This is like 2010 to 2015. RT seemed like a good alternative news source, but it depend on the host or the show that you watch. So obviously there was times you'd watch it and you'd be like, okay, this is some Russian propaganda. All media pump out their own little version of propaganda, depending on who's throwing money into the pockets and who's holding the wallets for the channels or the companies that are producing content on mainstream media platforms. But at that time, and you can still find clips online, I'm pretty sure, unless a lot of them been scrubbed, but it was a chick named Abby Martin with a show called Breaking the Set on RT, which she was a fantastic journalist. Like, this is what journalism is about. It's about telling the truth, being brave enough to kind of voice an educated opinion, an objective one, if anything. But being objective doesn't mean you have to sit on the fence. You can take in things objectively and I think as an objective person, give your perspective on it without being what you could call big class as bias. Because it's like, okay, if there's a guy beating up kids and you ask somebody, is this a bad thing? Them being a third party makes them objective, but they're not being biased by saying, oh no, that guy might have a reason for beating that kid up. You know what I mean? If they say, no, this guy's fucked up for beating up a little kid. It's something like that. So it's like we all have a common ground as human beings. We all have common ground when it comes to I think base morals and ethics. And this is where I think science doesn't really have a place to stand, because they're more I guess they're more like evidence-based. It's more like a practical information. Why is the sky blue? Why does light do this? Why do our voices sound like that? Instead of like going into the deeper, I guess, psychology, but then psychology finds its roots in like the founding fathers of psychology. So who would that be? Like Freud, maybe Hume. He was a philosopher, I think. Like I said, the brain's not working the best. Nietzsche, is he one? I think he's a philosopher as well. Don't judge me on the not being able to recall the founding fathers of psychology, because at the end of the day, they put their own biases into that. And so it's kind of a flawed mechanism to gauge people and everything, because, like, okay, Freud was the first one to come to mind because he's like the easiest to remember, but that guy obviously had some issues, you know what I mean? Had some fucking mummy issues or some parental issues, because everything just went back to wanting to fuck your mom or fuck your dad. So whether or not he had some kind of religious influence that kind of manipulated his perspective, and then he developed a whole paradigm to like assess perspective, but that's based on already his perspective of things. So it's like a biased lens. It's a warped lens to look at things through. And so, like, this is where, like I was saying, science doesn't really have a ground to stand on when it comes to ethics and morals, because it's based on like someone else's version of what they think is ethical or moral. But there can be, there are some psychological or psychoanalytical kind of perspectives that are pretty generalized, and maybe generalized isn't the best word, but it's kind of like like I said, with the kid getting punched in the face, or the guy beating up the kid, it's something that just makes sense and it feels good, but it still like kind of falls in the direction of like believing in religion and stuff like that. So definitely, I think having a religion helps you kind of shape your morals and ethics and everything. And I just went on like a wide tangent, and the V's kicking in sideways, because we're talking about Russia, and then the NX Crimea, and the information, the bias lens, Breaking the Set with Abby Martin. Check it out on YouTube if you can. She's gorgeous as well, so it's like, it's easy to watch, but she's so informative. But I believe that she gives like a very, like I said, it's like that common sense ground, you know what I mean? The common ground where common sense is found. And like, I knew it was getting very propaganda-ish when she started questioning the institution, but you can't look at this as a bias because Putin was in charge then. And I think they almost tried to off her by sending her to the front lines in Crimea when she was criticizing Russia's actions in the region at that point in time. So they want to like kind of throw in the deep end, and then if something were to accidentally happen, it's kind of like the bad mouthpiece has been eliminated. But that's speculation, you know what I mean? They started kind of pushing more against Russia during that time on that show, and then you kind of seen that when they weren't, because a lot of the talk on there was criticizing America, and but it was easy at the time during like 2010 because it was at the peak of the fucking Iraq War, Afghanistan war. It was like going crazy. They were entering other Middle Eastern nations. I think they were on the warpath for Libya and Syria at the time. So it was easy to point the finger and like kind of show ugly photos of America. But it was still informative, and it was still factual, and it was still like a good conversational. But going from that to where we are now without like being able to look back, and those conflicts were questionable. But with Ukraine, it's like everyone's got to kind of feel the ickiness, the kind of the bullshit of it. Like it doesn't even seem, it's obviously like very, okay, this is fucking, that's a dumb statement. It's very coordinated. All wars are coordinated and all conflicts are coordinated. But this is just so, it's getting like floated purely by American pockets. There's so many conflicts around the world, and now at least we kind of went full circle, and now we're talking about the bullshit on the news and everything like that. It's gone full circle where there are so many other conflicts that are occurring around the world. Like I'm still kind of baffled that no one's, like Myanmar / Burma, I don't know how you're supposed to refer to it as now. It's like it's an island in pretty sure it's in the Pacific or Indian Ocean, but like a Burmese, that's considered Southeast Asia. I'm pretty sure it's part of that chain of islands heading up. But they had like a massive coup where the army was just rolling through and like killing people, anyone who like wasn't kind of down for that. And there was like a bit of a resistance when it came to students because they believed in the democracy. And for the main time, I think the Burmese government was a democracy, and they arrested the democratically elected leader. They threw her in jail. And they started like shooting protesters, and these were like college-age students, working class people, farmers and all that. But everyone just kind of sat back and watched their world implode. No one put flags up on their Facebook profile for Burma or Myanmar. But now we're all supposed to be like invested for billions of dollars, and that's what's happening. Like right now, we've just shouted, or we've paid America, I think, to build us some submarines, and I forget what it was. It was like 30 billion, or maybe, I don't think it's 3 trillion. That's crazy. Sick brain, give me a break. It's easy a couple $1 billion on submarines, apparently. But this is the exact time that America just threw 60 billion after the blank check that they wrote Ukraine last year, and after the, I think, 100 and something million that they sent over near the end of last year. It's another 60 billion just getting splashed to like a leader who dresses like a strip club owner at the end of the day, Vladimir Zelensky. This guy is guaranteed deep state puppet. But everyone's just supposed to be on board. And the blind following, like people wearing dresses and taking profile pictures in Ukraine new dresses. I don't doubt that there's some people in Ukraine who don't want to be part of Russia, but it is a kind of a nation in its adolescence, seeing that it only, I think it was independent in 1993, Ukraine became its own country. So I'm older than Ukraine, you know what I mean? So for them to, I know there's like some history there, but the history definitely lapses with Russia's history. And so if they're not like baby brothers together, they're at least cousins minimum, you know what I mean? And for us to kind of jump in and put weapons at like in their backyard to kind of put them in an awkward position, it's like they're almost picking sides, which they obviously are, obviously with America, and America wants to push them to keep like going further into conflict, because don't forget, Russia was part of that hit list. There's definitely not going to be like a solution anytime soon, and I think it's just going to keep draining. Just like we got used to the 10 years or 15 years of war in Iraq, like they only pulled out in 2020, you know what I mean? Like they pulled out of Kabul and Afghanistan when fucking dudes were hanging off of plane tires and falling out of the fucking, holding onto the side of the plane like it was a train leaving, this fucking, what's the main city in fucking India? Mumbai. Like people hanging on the side of a fucking Mumbai train. They're hanging onto the side of a Boeing 737 taking off. We copped it for 20 years, just shelling money into it and like getting our tax dollars bled for a conflict that had no plus side for us. And for like America and even us with these submarines, like, okay, they say we're buying submarines, but to me, I think it's just like a bullshit guise for them to kind of get donations from everybody, but like contribute to the war fund in Ukraine, the Ukrainian war fund, because we won't see one submarine, I don't think, until about 2030. So it's like paying a dodgy mechanic before your job's done. You know what I mean? It could just be, I've got a little bit more work to do. We've got to fix it. I don't think it's going to, mark my words, this is good. This is why I like YouTube. We got to put like a timestamp, literally in time. This is what I didn't do. Pre-corona was like, there's a couple conspiracy theorists seen it coming. I followed them and I believed it was coming. And like 2016, the Ebola outbreak, I thought it was going to be then. That was when like Obama was in, and a doctor came back from Africa in Australia and went through all the airports with Ebola, this and that. But it's, what I'm trying to say with that is there's kind of some things you can smell coming by the little hints that you get. And like, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist now to realize that these conflicts are just going to keep going and going. And the money is going to have to keep flowing and flowing. And we've now fronted a couple million or billion for some submarines that we won't see for another 5 years. I think they might redirect those funds to areas that are necessary, and maybe just give us some subs that have been floating in the docks back in their homeland, for the money that we've given them. Just like when we bought like outdated, I think it was Raptor jets. We bought some mad outdated jets from America, and I just reckon that was like a money laundering operation almost, because we do have deep ties, even deep state ties with America. And if you're not aware of that, I brought up Friendly Geordies a while ago. There's a dude who like does videos with, I'm pretty sure his name's Jordan Shanks. I don't want to be saying it wrong, but Friendly Geordies anyway. And this video only came out this week. They kind of tried to infiltrate Pine Gap. Now, I thought Pine Gap was an Australian-run military base that they worked in conjunction with the CIA in that facility. This is what I like about independent media and people like Friendly Geordies and his friend. I better give it to the dude because it was his video. It wasn't like Friendly Geordies. This is a good thing about independent media, is that like you're constantly learning information that they're not trying to push on you. It's completely run by the CIA. Like, I don't even think the Australians work there. They're just like cleaners and like security guards around the perimeter. I don't know his name, but his channel is Boy Boy. So Boy Boy gets Friendly Geordies on his videos. I don't know. I don't go deep enough down that hole. I watch Friendly Geordies videos during Corona and all that stuff. I catch one every now and then, but I try and keep my screen time like to a healthy level, and unfortunately I don't get to catch everything. I somehow find time to watch half an hour videos of a guy with his terrarium, Ants Canada, which is a fantastic channel. You should watch it, and watch some Friendly Geordies and some Boy Boy videos. But that's how deep our ties go. We actually allow these people to operate in the middle of the country, without question and without any knowledge of what's going on there. So it's at the stage where we have to kind of you got to dig for yourself when it comes to like opinion. Don't obviously never believe the first thing you hear. You know, don't believe everything you hear. That's like a classic saying, and obviously that goes for what I say too. Do your own research, dig around for yourself. You can't take anything at face value at the end of the day, especially when there's vested interests and everything. And so we'll obviously elaborate on everything a bit further. This was just a quick one. We've got to kind of tie it up here, but if you care about Princess Katherine's Cosby sweater sleeves, go check out the picture, because I don't know what could have been photoshopped. You know what I mean? There's Chinese 50-year-old women who like make themselves look like 21-year-old Hong Kong hotties, and that's like full-fledged, complete, full-body filters. This chick did nothing besides, I don't know, she like smoothed out the wrinkles on her hands or some shit. I don't know, who cares? But at the end of the day, there's much more going on. Ukraine, craziness, just like a bottomless pit of what's going to be like war funding. Burma, I'd like to hear more of what's going on there. Question what happened in the past 5 years. That's like the main thing I can stress to anybody, because it's now that the flowers are going to bloom for all the shit that went down then. And yeah, so this is kind of what we're going to do together. So if you can't be bothered, all right, fuck it, leave it. I'll do it with you later on. We'll do it next week and the following weeks after that. But this is Something Called a Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Henderson. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Check us out on TikTok, X, anything else, YouTube. Like, subscribe. Leave some comments below. Let us know what you thought, what your thoughts are, and anything you want to talk about in the future. I'm more than happy to take suggestions from anybody who's actually tuning in and watching. We love you, appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Peace. I said peace.